I would help if I put my face on the screen. Well, hello. Welcome, welcome. Um, I'm popping on because I said I would, for one. I almost forgot. I literally almost forgot. But I had some questions. Some people were asking questions, and there were some resources that I had access to, and people wanted to know about them. And so I figured I'd hop on here and share them. And you, please do your own research. Like I always tell you, look for yourself. Hey, Visu, welcome. You always want to look for yourself. You don't want to just swallow somebody else's words and then later on, kick yourself in the butt because you really didn't look for yourself. So, with that said, Mama Ames, welcome, welcome. With that being said, I do have the California's Voters Guide simplified. I have it with just the names put down. So I know for me, I need to look up some things before I decide that's who I'm going to put my vote for. I hope you would do the same thing. If you're here in California, especially, we have a lot of funky people running our state, and they do not stand for what I stand for. And so, therefore, I need to make sure that when I go to cast my vote, I have looked things up and I vote according to what I believe. Okay. There's specific things don't want to bend on, and I don't want to endorse a candidate that is going to stand up for things that I don't believe in. So that is the whole purpose of me coming on today. Plus, I told you guys I would, and so I want to do that. First of all, welcome Mama Ames, welcome B Sue, welcome Rochelle, welcome Spirit Junkie, doing good, thank you, girl. Welcome Miss Tina, welcome, welcome. So, and I want you all to know, we don't have to agree. We can disagree, okay? I'm just here to let you know the information that I have, how I use that information to further look into what I plan on doing and voting according to what I believe. I think every single person, you need to vote on what you believe. And I think a lot of people that are conservatives have been very quiet because they just felt like that was what they were supposed to do, is just be quiet. Well, that's wrong. You don't have to be quiet. If you believe what you believe, you should stand firm in that. You should not be afraid to say, this is what I believe and this is why. So, if you're a believer, you should be voting according to what you believe. If you believe what God's word says about multiple topics, about, here we go, about abortion, you should be voting accordingly to what you believe on abortion. If you believe in the same-sex marriage and all of that stuff that's going on, then you should vote against that if that's what you believe. There's multiple topics that we could talk about. You need to vote according to what you believe, not go with the flow, not do what everybody else says, but look for yourself and decide for yourself with understanding and the information that you collect. All right. So I will tell you first and foremost, I don't know about everybody else, but we get one of these silly things in the mail. And the reason I'm calling it silly is because it has no information in it. Zero. I will tell you there's a bunch of candidates that you're going to go vote for, and there's no information in here. And it says it's a guide. It's not a guide. It's a joke. It should say 2022 election jokes. It shouldn't say information guide because it's not got no information in it. Okay, let's see. Anna, welcome, welcome. MKT, welcome, welcome. People running all over the country. Funky, yes, girl, yes. And here in California, you guys all know we got a bad rap. We got a very bad rap right now, and we need to get the people out. Nancy, welcome, welcome. Right? Just saying, just saying. I just want to share what I have. You do with it what you want. If you want to toss it in the trash, you're welcome to do that as well. Yes, research each one. You should know. Yep. That's not true. They would want you to believe that. They've wanted people to believe that for many, many years, and that's why we're in the state that we're in. That is why we are in the condition that we are in. Right. With that said, you too, Rochelle, you have a good night. But that is one of the things that they would like you to believe, is that Our voices don't count. Okay? They've manipulated the votes, but you know what? Our voices are heard. So it's our responsibility. Doesn't matter what they do. It's our responsibility to stand up and say no, or say, I'm endorsing this, or I'm not endorsing that. It is our responsibility to do that. Yes, and Miss Kathy, I was waiting for you to get here, girl, so that I could share this information, because I know you specifically wanted it. I don't do politics on YouTube, but I believe in freedom of speech. Good for you. You too, NKT. You too. So yes. So, and I know there's a lot of people that feel that way, and that is your prerogative. I totally respect that. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. I appreciate you, girl. Okay, so here we go. This one right here is basically when we open up our voter's guide. Now, your state may do a better job at doing it. Our state did not, and our county did not. So it goes to state, it goes to county, it goes down to your city, and it even can go to your community. So we have state, county, our city, our county, and our city. So we have like 4 different areas for us that we'll be voting in, and some things have nothing to do with anybody else. They're just ours. So again, you have to make sure that you're looking into these things, because none of that information is in here. It just tells you who's on the ballot. That's pretty much all it tells you. So, Kathy, I know you're one of our California girls. So I just want to say, I don't know if you were able to watch the services today, but I thought that the scriptures that the pastor shared were on point. And if you've been coming to the mornings with me with coffee and devotions, we read through the Proverbs every day, right? Every day we read through those Proverbs. And every scripture that the pastor shared this morning about our rulers was from Proverbs. Okay? So if you have a pen and paper, and the reason I'm going to give you these first is because this should be what your compass is. This should be your compass. With this compass, you measure up all these people, every single one of them, with this compass. Okay? So I'm going to give you the scriptures. You can jot them down and you can look them up. Again, we've been reading through these in Proverbs for a couple months now, right? So they're going to be familiar to you. When you go through them, you're going to be like, yeah, yep. So let that be your compass, okay? So first off, we have Proverbs 29, 2 and 4. Okay? And this is the mark of a wicked leader. Okay? You can tell. If this fits the person that's on the ballot, you might want to not vote for them. Proverbs 16:12, Proverbs 20:11. I guess I could type them in. Proverbs 25:4. Okay? And I was trying to take notes and all this stuff, and so it's my notes, and it's probably not going to make no sense to nobody else, but an immoral person cannot lead a nation. Okay? They're going to bring the nation into a state of disarray. They'll just bring it into a state of disarray. Proverbs 24:24. Are you putting them? You're putting them on me? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you, girl. Okay, so you have 16:12. You got that one. 20:11. And 25:4. Yes, so I know I have a bit of a lag too. And Proverbs 24:24 is, are they guided by political opinion or by truth and and integrity? Are they courageous to stand? So the candidate that you're voting for, are they courageous enough to take a stand and say, you know what, this is what I stand for, right? I know for me, I don't want a governor governing my state that's going to allow abortions of any sort. Okay? The one we have right now is saying, come to our state and we'll do it for you. Okay? He needs to be gone. He just needs to be gone. And so I know who I am not voting for, and I know who I'm voting for. So you have two choices on our California ballot. You want to look into them and decide for yourself. Your two choices are Gavin Newsom. Okay. Most of you know that name. Most of you know what that name represents. Okay. I'm not going to tell you this, that, or the other. You need to research it. Okay. The other candidate that you have that you can pick is Brian Dale. Brian Dale. I can tell you just from the voters, all that I know about him is he's a Republican. Okay. So if you're just going by this, okay, and you're going to vote according to biblical principles, you're going to have to do some research because this doesn't tell you anything about Brian and you want to know, okay? You don't want to just pick somebody because, say, they fall into one of two categories or one of three categories. You want to know, what does that person stand for? Okay, I'm against abortion. They kill innocent, lies, unborn children. Exactly, Joyce. And it's like this. It's like this. Where do they draw the line? Where do they draw the line? They can say that you can abort a baby, right, up to birth. They've already drawn it out. They've drawn it out to where you can do it right up until you can birth the baby. You can still do it. Okay, they start passing these kind of laws. Okay, the next thing they're going to do is say, well, now this category of people, we can do away with them because they're inconvenient. Okay, because the whole purpose of doing an abortion is because it's inconvenient. People want to say it's because of, say, something has happened, a rape happened. Okay, if you're going to look at details, please look all the details. Those statistics are very small compared to the amount of abortions that take place. Most abortions occur because it's not convenient to have a child. Okay, and so because it's going to infringe on that person or people's life, they choose to get rid of this child and their child from the moment of conception. From the moment of conception, that is a life. It is a life that the Lord has placed in the womb, okay, through the processes of recreating, procreation, that He has gifted mankind with the ability to do, with a man and a woman, okay? So knowing what these candidates stand for should help to be your guide. Are they standing up against what same-sex marriage is? Are they standing up against that? Not allowing the perversion in our schools, not allowing that. Are they keeping that out? No, we don't want that in our schools. Are they standing up for that? Because that's the person I want. I don't want the person that says, well, I think it's kind of okay. They're running that fence. They're sitting in that gray zone. I don't want that person as a candidate. If that's all I have a choice is this and this one that's got some compromise, I'm not giving my vote to either one of them. It's not vote for the one that's less. It's don't vote for either of them. And that's how your voice is heard. It's not so much that your vote made a huge difference, your one vote, but it does. When you voice and you stand, your voice counts. So that was my whole point of sharing with you guys, was to let you guys know your voice does count. And when you let people know why, that means something. And you're standing up with integrity. You're not being afraid of what other people think. You're standing with integrity. What does God think? Because that's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter what your neighbor thinks. It doesn't matter if they disagree with you. It matters, what does God think? He put this in your heart, that this is His truth, and He expects you to honor it. Honor it, right? Okay, next one in our California one is the lieutenant governor. Again, you're getting a couple choices. The only thing that you know about these people, I'm going to show you the page. This is all you get about these people. You're going to get what column do they register in. That's all you get, is what column do they register in. You get no information. This thing jumps from English to Spanish. It gives you no information except for your like your city area. That's it. No information. Why can't you allow someone who chooses to have an abortion get one? Why can't they choose that and you choose life? Why can't you allow someone who chooses to have an abortion get one? It shouldn't be allowed at all. If if you believe that it's wrong, you should stand up and say that it's wrong. Not, well, I believe that it's wrong, but if you want to do it, it's okay. That's compromise. That's compromise. That's like saying, well, God says not to murder, but if you want to murder, you can murder. No, we're supposed to just stand up and say no to murder. That is murder. You're taking a life. You're taking a life that you have no rights to take, period. We have no right to take a life and murder a life, especially an innocent life. Now, we can get on a whole different discussion of people that go into the military and they go to battle and they kill people. That is not murder. And it's wise to understand the difference between murder and killing. When you go to war, you will be required to kill for the most part. You go in knowing this ahead of time. Nobody goes to the army or military and thinks that they're not going to go into battle. They go with the assumption that they may be called to battle and they may be required to kill. For that purpose, killing it's going to happen. It's been happening. The Lord called the Israelites even into battle to fight against the enemies and kill them. That was not murder. Murder is when you go and you take a life and you have your own motives for doing so, and that person has never harmed you. That's murder. The innocent babies in the womb have done nothing to nobody. It's murder. It's murder. And so if you're going to say that you stand on biblical truth and you follow what the Lord says and you believe what he says to be truth, then there's no way that you can say, okay, well, it's okay for you to do it if you want to do it. I just don't want to do it. It's a double standard. So that is the whole reason. Good. Hello, Colleen. Hello. The fetus is not a citizen. How does it have rights under U.S. Constitution? We the people. I'm not here to say that the fetus is a citizen. I'm not here to say the fetus is a citizen. But the unborn child is an unborn child. It's still in the womb. That's supposed to be the safest place for a baby. The safest place for a baby. Not the most place where it's iffy. Okay? When the child is born, the mother can then surrender the child and let somebody else have the honor of raising that child. Okay? But for the person to decide, okay, I don't want this child, it's my body. Okay, well, it was your body when you did the deed. You knew the deed could produce children and you chose to do it anyway. And now that the consequence of that, the result of that deed comes, you decide you don't want to follow through with the end result. That has nothing to do with being a citizen. It has nothing to do with having rights as the unborn child. That unborn child is a sacred life. Plain and simple. It's a sacred life. No poker face. Aw. And yes, the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments, they fall into that. A non-vote doesn't actually count. You may be trying to make a point by not voting, but when there are people running, they count cast votes. So what I'm saying is, I am not going to cast my vote for someone that doesn't represent my beliefs. As far as what morals do they stand on? If they are on the fence about certain issues, there's no way I'm going to put my vote. I will not vote for that category. You can say you're not going to vote for those two. I don't care for the two choices you've given me, and therefore I'm not going to endorse either. You can do that. You can do that. War is to try and save your life and follow fellow soldiers from being killed, but a baby's heartbeat is a life. And if a mother is a citizen, then that baby is a citizen. Where the mother lives, so does the child. And here's my point on that. Here is my point on that. If, good example, you have people that have murdered their pregnant wife. If that life didn't count, why do they get convicted for the murder of that child in the mother's womb? They get convicted for that. They get punished for it. But why then do they say, oh, but you can voluntarily walk into a building and have that child removed and murdered from your body? Because you gave consent and it's okay. But this other person that killed this baby inside of the mother, he gets a penalty for it. It's because the life is sacred. It is a life, and it was taken, and it shouldn't have been taken. So that's the whole, you can't separate one without the other. You can't say it's wrong here, but it's okay over here. That's why our society is in the mess that it's in, is because everybody wants this double standard, and the day that it comes to where you need the double standard, you want the double standard in place. In all actuality, there is no double standard. It's right or it's wrong. There's no gray with this. Life is sacred or it's not. Now, if you want to say life is not sacred in the womb, then what prevents you now from saying life is not sacred at 5? Or at 55 or at 85 because somebody is so old and they require so much care? What is to say that those lives are no longer sacred? Who decides that? The age. Who decides the age? 1 hour in the womb after the act, 1 hour in the womb after the act, 95 years old. Who decides that? God decides that. He says they're all sacred to him. They all have purpose to him, right? That's where the line is. There's no gray. There's just no gray. What'd you say? American honey. Oh, I don't know about all that. This is just something that's very important, and people are scared to talk. They're just scared to talk. And I'm not here to sway nobody. I always tell you guys, you need to sit with the Lord. You need to sit with him. He needs to clear stuff up with you. If you're sitting here and you're thinking, well, it's kind of okay, you already got that. You already got that hesitation. And if you're saying, well, you already have hesitation, you need to sit with the Lord so that you can have a full, solid stand on what it is that you believe and want to honor God with your choices. That's my point. That's my whole point. Let's see. Spirit Junkie said, oh, I'm going to put your comments up because there's people on both sides. Sorry. Life is lost in battle, in killing. It may not be murder unlawful, though shall not kill. The Bible doesn't translate as murder. The Bible says do not murder. It says do not murder. And if you also read through the book of Leviticus, where it gives all the breakdown of the actual law, it does say that's where you get the eye for an eye, is when a life is taken even by accident. The life is sacred and the offender owes for that life. So really, you probably should read through the book of Leviticus on the laws that the Lord gave. He himself gave these laws to Moses and broke it down to where even if it was an accidental death and you caused an accidental death, that life was still sacred, and there was a penalty for taking of that life because of what would you call it? Carelessness, or responsibility. Like we have cars now. Then they had carts and donkeys. Let's just say the ropes on your donkey broke and your cart took off and it struck a child. And the child died. It didn't recover. It died. There was a penalty for that. That person didn't do it on purpose, but there was a penalty for the killing of that child. Now, if somebody went and it talks even about in the womb, there was a penalty for that. There was penalties for those offenses. So those aren't circumstances that are governed by war. War is probably one of the only ones, battle is probably one of the only ones where killing is involved that isn't justified as a sin. Okay? You've been called into battle. This is your calling to go to battle and defend, and that's what you're doing. You're defending. And so you're defending territory. You've been called to battle. That's different. It's always been different. All throughout the Bible, when the Lord sent the troops in, he told them, you're going to go in and fight, and you're going to kill them all. He would send them to kill all of them. Men, women, children, cattle. All of them were to be killed. Okay? They weren't murdered. They were killed. It was during battle. It was to take over territories. That was what was going on. I'm not saying that life wasn't important. Those lives weren't important, but there is that distinction. There is that distinction. So yes. Sorry, where did I leave this off at? But it's just rainwater. Ref. Right? Just rainwater. A fetus can't sustain itself. That's why it's gestating. It's essentially a no, I don't agree. I do not agree. It is not a parasite. My argument is a fetus is not a life, a soldier, innocent citizen. So if you're saying a fetus is not life, then you're basically saying that God's word is a lie. Because in his word, he says that before you were in the womb, he knew you. He knew you. So if you're saying that it's a parasite, you're saying that knowledge, his knowledge of you was not there. He didn't know you until after you were done being a parasite. That's contrary to his word. That doesn't go. It just doesn't go. Yeah. No, I'm not legislating belief. I'm saying my belief should guide my votes to what I stand behind certain legislation and disagree with certain legislation. Therefore, that is what guides my vote. That guides my vote. Okay. And in all actuality, our country was founded on biblical principles. Way back when the founding fathers found it, it was found on biblical principles. And we've gotten away from those principles. We've removed God's word from everything. And his word applies to everything. His word should be what guides you from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you lay down your head at night. It should be your guide. It shouldn't be removed from any aspect of your life. There are scriptures that tell you that his word is good for teaching, correcting, and setting things straight. It gives you counsel. It gives you direction. It tells you how you should and shouldn't do things through all aspects of life. And you can't omit it. Even when it comes to deciding who you're going to vote for, you have to let it be your guide. Because if not, you're all over the place with your thoughts. You have to. Hold on a second. It says, my argument is you're trying to legislate belief. Not everyone believes the Bible. That is true. And that is true. U.S. citizens have freedom of religion. We don't have to believe and live by the Bible. You want to reduce my freedom of religion by legislating according to your beliefs. Not true. That is not true. Everybody has, just like you have the freedom to choose every single day what you want to follow, that's the same choice that you have in your vote. But your vote should match your belief. Your vote should match your belief. And if that's your belief, then that should be your vote. The definition of killing is clear. Murder includes unlawful ending of life. Wartime killing is murder. I disagree. I disagree. If that was the case, every veteran would have to serve time. Almost every veteran would have to serve time. And I will tell you that the reason that people come back messed up is because it's not natural to go to war and kill. It's not. That's why a lot of them come back with a lot of disorders, is because it's not a natural thing to take a life. And I will tell you, whether you want to believe it or not, and I will tell you from my own experience, that when you have an abortion, you have long-lasting consequences that come with that act. Okay? You're going to have more issues for the rest of your life that no one can take away, no one can soothe them. Yes, the Lord can heal them, but there's certain things that just don't heal. Okay? They're going to always be very sensitive. It's like that scar that heals outwardly, and you touch it and it's very nervy, and it's like almost irritating when something brushes against it. They will have those. And I speak from experience. Okay? I'm not speaking from a place of I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you because I do know what I'm talking about. And when you go down that road, okay, because it's not natural, and because there's a large consequence that comes with it, you will continue to suffer. You will continue to suffer. It's not something that you just do this thing and it's gone and it's erased from your mind. Okay? And the reason that it's there is because what you did, you will have to live with. You will have to live with. Go look up some women that have had them early on in their life and they're older and they've never had it reconciled with God, especially those that haven't had it reconciled with God. And they will tell you that they've been tormented their whole life. So there is penalties for it. There is penalties for it. Yes, he knew us before we were in the womb. Before we were in the womb. It is not a parasite. It is not a parasite. Free will comes in. You are free to believe what you want to believe, but those are your choices. Exactly. The Bible has numerous stories of adulterous behavior, double standard. And they're there for us to learn from. They're there for us to learn from, but it's not a double standard. It's there for us to learn from. Check your dictionary. Exactly. Murder is taking a life. Reason for ending a life is still not justified. Okay, so just from your very own words, you're saying reason for ending a life is still not justified. If you can justify ending a life for war, why can't someone else justify for the end of birth? The difference between war has a purpose for protecting a country. If war never occurred, you and I would not have our freedoms. We would not have our borders. We would not have and live in the country that we live in, where we are, in a sense, protected. We're protected by our government for the most part. Where other places that people live, their government doesn't do that for them. And most of them, they don't go to war. They have militias. that just run amok. So there is a difference in what is taking place. In war, it's a given. If there's no need for war, there's no need for killing. There should not be any need for that at all. But because of the fallen state that we live in, there's always going to be rulers that rise up. We're always going to live underneath of them. And they do provide certain protections for us as people. When it comes to an infant in the womb, that person's choosing to go into a service of military, and they're choosing to surrender. When you see a veteran and you tell them thank you for your service, do you really know what you're telling them? You're telling them thank you for putting it all on the line for me. That's what you're telling them, because they were willing to let go of their life, and they were willing to do things so that you and I didn't have to do it. They were willing to lay their life down for us. There's a difference. The baby in the womb has not had any choices yet. No choices. They didn't choose to go to battle. They didn't choose to be implanted into the womb. The mother and the father of that child, whether they were married or not, chose to do the act of procreation. Usually when they're on those lines of thinking, they did it because they were just having a good time and didn't like the result of the action. That's different. That's not war. There's a totally different line there. Totally different line there. Yes, and exactly. Man, in his own thinking, wrote the dictionary. Exactly. And God breathed and inspired the Bible. And that there is a total difference in that. Yes. Exactly. That's exactly why he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. There was no morality there. Zero. And there's stories of that, Rev. There is stories of that. Yes. I know of two. One was a young lady, and I believe there was, if I'm not mistaken, there's also a young man that survived it. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Um, if someone survived an abortion and talk about it, would that make a difference? For some people it would, and for some people it wouldn't. Everybody is going to side on the side that usually it suits their viewpoint. That's usually what will guides people's decisions. It's what suits my viewpoint. Again, it comes down to, where do your views come from? Where do your views come from? Colleen says, listen, my daddy fought in World War II in Germany and Austria at 17 years old to take out Hitler. He was an evil man, and I'm sorry this is what they are trying to do, the same thing over here. Trying to have a new world order. Yep, citizens, depending on the government, is very important who you vote for. Exactly. Yep, exactly. And so for me, that's my whole thing is, I want to go and pick the candidate that's going to line up with what I believe, okay, before I cast my vote. Okay, I personally don't want to put my vote in for somebody who says abortion's okay. I don't want to put my vote in for somebody who says you can be whatever you want to be, and you can have marriage that is not biblically based. Okay, a gay marriage. I don't stand for that. I don't want to vote for that. I don't want my children learning about stuff in school that the school has no business teaching my children about. That's my responsibility. That's my responsibility as a parent, to teach my children about the facts of life. That's my responsibility. Now, if I'm a parent that don't care to teach my children and leave my children to the world to teach, that again is my choice. But as it is my choice, I do not choose to have somebody who's going to bring this corruption into the schools and put it down the kids' throat and tell the parents that they have no rights. Okay, I don't want to stand behind someone that's like that. I just don't. Um, and people that stand for that, I just don't. I don't want to vote for that. Let's see. And Colleen, by the way, thank you for your service, your dad's service. Thank you for the sacrifice, because you know what? You guys, even if you weren't born just yet, you guys had a sacrifice due to your father's service. Every family that had a service member in it, they had a sacrifice that came along with that. Whether your parent was in the home full time, whether your parent had things that continued on for them, the PTSD and stuff like that, some lost their parents because they stood for our country. Just all these different things. Those were sacrifices. Those were sacrifices, and they were sacrifices for people that you don't even know. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. I believe constitutionally an atheist or a Christian should have a right to choose. I'm not satanic, and I resent you saying that if you're directing that to me, Kathy. Don't get personal, just discuss. There is consequences for them. I agree. There is consequences for them. That's why our country is all messed up right now. And you're starting to see, if you look around with open eyes, and I'm talking legitimately open eyes. I'm not talking about what the world thinks of as awake. I'm talking about with eyes that the Lord guides. If you look around, you will see that the world is in not a good place right now. That perversion is abounding, and it's not getting better. It's getting more and more perverse. And people think that, well, it doesn't affect me because it's not in my house, so you can go ahead and do that over there. It does affect, and that's why it's coming out in everybody's face that, hey, this is what we're doing, and you don't say nothing about it. And if you say something about it, you're the bad guy. And don't call what I'm doing bad, because then you're the bad one. And that's where society is at right now. It's there. And we need to be salt and light. We know this. We talk about this in the morning. We need to be salt and light. Salt preserves, light illuminates, and it sheds light on the things of darkness. And right now there's a lot of darkness. And people want to stay like this, like they can't see it. If I can't see it, it's not real. It's real. It's real. Rev says, October 7th, 1961. My father beat up my mother while she was pregnant with me in the hopes of aborting me. Okay. I'm very sorry, Rev, that occurred in your family, because that's crazy. It's just crazy. Was he not responsible for that life? Your life was an innocent life that he had no right to inflict harm upon. He had no right to inflict harm upon that, right? My father never accepted that I was really his son and tell me about it every time I met him. See, unless that man accepted the Lord, he was a disgusting man. I hope he accepted the Lord. I hope that for every person. But yes, I have to say this. He was no more disgusting than I was. I was that worm. And there's no excuse. The only thing that I can tell you, and this is for every person that walks down that road, you're only thinking of yourself. Every single abortion, the decision to do it is geared by selfishness. It's geared that you're trying to preserve yourself and you're trying to free yourself from something that you don't want to deal with. Okay? Doesn't matter if it happened from rape, doesn't matter if it happened from a one-night stand, doesn't matter if it happened in a marriage, doesn't matter, that none of that matters. None of that matters. The point is even though that situation occurred, you chose to do something that you had no right to do. You had no right to do it. And again, you just make sure that you do your research, you make sure that they align with what you believe, and then you cast your vote. Okay? Then you cast your vote. Right? My mother did not want to have another child, and she tried to abort me as well. Ay, Rev. The Lord had bigger plans for you. The Lord had bigger plans for you. Nope, not trying to legislate my beliefs. My beliefs are my beliefs. I think we should, exactly, all informed, definitely. Educate yourself and find out about the people. Don't just go in there and mark a box. That's the whole point of today, is find out what they believe in before you go mark your boxes. Don't just go in there and mark a box. Don't do random choice. Because later down the road, these people are in there and you're like, man, I wish those people weren't in there. Well, did you vote for them? It comes back down. Did you vote for them? Because we're in a mess right now. And a lot of the mess that we're in, the things were voted for because people went in blindly and didn't educate themselves. They didn't. Gotcha. That was something that was very, it was passed down. I know a couple families where it was instilled in their family that it is your duty to serve your country. And those were like, you have a family where generations served. Yes, that is something that was in there, that you served at least one term to serve your country because it was like your duty as, gratitude for your country. I do know that there's many families it's not as common now in this generation that's coming up. It's kind of dwindled away. But I do know that it's very, it used to be very common, because even my uncle, his family served and all his children served. They at least served one enlistment. Mm-hmm. Right? He says what? Because he says it how it is, and he puts God, family, and country. They don't like him because of that. Yep. I agree. I do agree that has happened to him. Yep. Believe in choice. The Constitution was trying to define. And this is the thing. So this is the whole point, is you do have a choice. But where does your choice, how would you say? Every choice you have. You can choose to go do drugs. Does that make it right? You can choose to go rob a store or rob a bank. Does that make it right? That's the whole point. Yes, you have freedom to choose, but does it mean that the choice that you make is right? That's the point. That's the whole point of voting according to what you believe. When does the choice, when is it wrong to tell somebody it's wrong to rob a bank? It's not wrong to tell somebody that, right? It's not wrong to tell somebody it's wrong to have an abortion. It's not wrong to tell somebody, don't teach that to my children in school. those things aren't wrong. There's choices. Yes, we all get to make choices, and those freedoms, we fight for our freedoms to be able to choose. Wow. But is your choice right? Is your choice sinful? That's the whole differentiation, right? I learned my father to right. The Lord is your father, right? My mama admitted that she had done it tried to do, and I led her to the Lord too. I bet that was a very, how would you say, that was huge. That was huge in every aspect. I'm sure your relationship is different now too. I haven't shared a whole lot of my testimony because it's very hard for me. And it wasn't until recently that the Lord called me to do it. A couple times, actually. Very uncomfortable, I will tell you. And it's because you fear what people will think and say. And I will tell you, I knew it was wrong. I wasn't walking with the Lord. I didn't know the Lord when I made my choices. And I will tell you that I knew they were wrong with everything in me. And I will tell you that for every person that does it, you know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. You know that is something that is, it's sacred. It's beautiful. It's not, it's sacred. That's all I'm going to say. And you know it within you. With everything in you, you know if you choose that it's wrong. And I will tell you, it's very hard to tell people and admit to people, especially strangers, that you've went down this road. Most people try to keep it covered their whole lives because it's not right. It's just not right. But because of that, I think that's why the Lord will call me at times to speak up and speak out and say, it's wrong. It was wrong when I did it. And the reasons that I did it was selfish reasons. They were self-preservation because I didn't know him and because I had the father of this world telling me it was okay to do whatever I wanted. You'll be fine. Do whatever you want. Just do it. And then, yeah, you think you're all right. And then down the road, everything spirals. Everything spirals. And now you have this issue and this issue to deal with. Instead of just not being selfish, understanding that it's wrong, not having the access. That's the whole point. Get rid of the access. Okay? If someone's going to do it, make it hard for them to have the access to do it. Don't make it to where you just walk into a building and, sign a paper and off you go. You got to limit that. You got to stop that. If you believe, you got to help stop it. And that's how you should be voting. Just saying. Right? That's what I say too. Thank you, Rev. We still live in America, and it's good to share and hear different opinions and beliefs. Ultimately, we have to be accountable for. Exactly. That's the whole thing. We're going to have to give an account. Maybe not here to man, but one day we're going to stand before the Lord, and he's going to ask you, what did you do with my son? What did you do with my son? Right? When he gives you his word, you now have been entrusted with that truth. What did you do with it? What did you do with it? Did you put it over on the shelf because it looks pretty? You put it over there. Oh yeah, I like that. It looks good right there. Or did you really live by it? Right? That's the whole question. There's a proverb that talks about, did you just hide it under the bush, the little light? Did you put it under the bush? The bushel, the basket? Or did you let it shine? Did you let it be there and be that thing that just was so bright you could not share it? That should be what guides your decisions. It's not your beliefs trying to do legislation. It's what you believe, okay? And we can believe differently. That's okay. But what you believe should guide what you vote for. It should. Okay, my mouse is acting up again, darn it. I can tell you in all honesty, there is no hate or anger nor bitterness towards my father and mother. I was amazed in myself that I did not have that anymore. Because the Lord touched it to bring healing and reconciliation, right? Because our God is a God of real reconciliation and restoration. He calls us into forgiveness. He calls us to extend forgiveness. And in so doing, it allows him to reconcile things and to restore things, right? Those are the scriptures. It says that he will restore what the cankerworm has eaten away, what the hopper worm, and there's like 3-4 worms, and they each destroy things. And it says that these are the things that he can restore, right? But he doesn't restore them if we're not following him. It's a process that we partake in. Made you very sensitive. Yes. Yes. Excuse me. Here in Michigan, some organization has assessed, oh, sorry, I don't know if I got that word right, public records, and sent a letter to me detailing my voting history. I have only missed one election, probably because of my heart issue. I always vote. It's almost kind of creepy, though. That they do that. I mean, I know they do it, but when you find out about it, it's almost creepy-ish. Just saying. And term limits, I agree. That's another topic. That's one of our propositions. One of our propositions that we have to vote on is term limits. And I think there should be term limits for all of them, not just president, not just whichever one. Some of them's 2 years, 4 years, whatever. They all should have limits. There should not be anybody that's been up there for many years. Yeah. I'm making a fat joke. Right? That's maybe why God let you live, to bring your mom to him, right? Right? I think it's fantastic. I know somebody, I'll tell you. I met someone at church, and the topic came up, and I think because they were doing the life walks over by the Planned Parenthood. And so they were letting people know if they wanted to help in the life walk. They're not protesting. They're out there. They pray with people. They let them know that there's other options. Okay? Some people, and I will tell you, a good majority of them, and I can tell you again from my experience, I was not told I had other options. When I walked through the door, it was like, okay, yeah, let's do this for you. There was no are you sure? You might want to look into some other options first. Nothing. Okay. It was like they are gung ho. Here we got another one. And you know what? They have to have that mindset to do the wicked that they're doing. They have to. How many? I couldn't do it. Could you do it? How many people could just have that as their job? They have to have wickedness in their heart to want to destroy babies. There has to be the wickedness there. There's not innocent people performing these. I will tell you, okay, I will tell you that these people, their faces are not kind. They're not kind. Okay. I had to be awake for one. Okay. I had two. I had to be awake for one because I ate peanuts. And so I could not be put to sleep. And I will tell you, they are the most unkind people that I have ever met in my entire life. And I've met some doozers. I've met some nasty folks. And I will tell you that they're just not kind. They're very calloused and heartless people. And so I'm just saying. Anyway, our church was doing this outreach, and so they were announcing it. And I was in the lobby because I greet at the door. And so during after greeting and everybody's pretty much in there, there's usually 2 songs left. And I have my coffee. I stop and get a coffee before I go to church. And so I stand out in the lobby and I finish my coffee because I don't drink coffee when I'm greeting. I sit it on the side, and then when everybody's in, I stand back in the lobby and I finish my coffee. Well, they're talking about the announcements as I'm having my coffee, and they're talking about the thing. Anyhow, one person that I knew, she walked up, and it was just all of a sudden, it was like the Lord broke me at that moment, and she saw it, and she came up to me, and anyway, long story short, was she shared with me that her mom had done this, and that her mom was having a hard time coping and dealing with letting it go. And so she was glad that I shared with her my experience, because some of the things that I shared with her, she was going to share with her mom. And I told her, I said, sometimes it just takes that right person just to be able to not judge you, for you to be able to open up. And I will tell you, that was my husband. This happened before I met him, and he was the only one I ever told. And it comes down to having somebody that you're willing to make yourself vulnerable, that they're not going to judge you, to be able to say, I did this thing. So I'm just saying, there's times where you're going to be able to speak. There's times where you're going to be able to listen. But I will tell you that there is other options. And I was not told about other options. So for me, it's big to know that there's other options, and to know that what you're doing, for them to tell you, you know what, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. You can get through it. You just need help. And most of the time, you need the Lord's help. It's not just people, it's the Lord. And I will tell you, Spirit Junkie, much of my contrarian discussion is to prove not everyone agrees with Christianity. I don't think constitutionally we should legislate individual freedom. I will tell you also, right? Creepy, right? I will tell you also, there are non-believers that don't endorse abortion. There are non-believers that do not endorse any kind of abortion. So it's not saying, I'm not telling you that I'm voting for Christians, because I don't know their faith. I'm going to vote according to where they stand on issues that are important to me. That's how I'm going to vote. But yeah. Mama Ames says the movie Unplanned, if you haven't seen that, you should. It's an incredible movie. Yes. I think I missed some stuff. Sorry. I missed a lot. I'm so sorry. Okay. Spirit Junk says, not your business what my choice is. God, judge not. It's God's place. If I impinge on society, yes, legislate law and rule. Punish me according to man's law, but I will only be judged by God. It's not even my fault. Correct. But I struggled with shame. How do you want nobody know? Only because of God was able to overcome. Right? And that's what I'm saying. We need that help. We definitely need that help. I'm a little hazy because you are trying to protect yourself. So you vote your conscience and I will vote mine. Gotcha. But I still think we should not be imposing laws on what can't be clearly defined. Term limits, right? Don't like the huge lines. Got it. One day after I voted, right? You got the text. Okay, and I did do that one too. Who is not kind, little sister? We see the proof every day, everywhere around us, Spirit Junkie. Right? Yeah. These law, yeah. Yeah. And up to 9 months, it's sickening. They should be held accountable for murder. These doctors are disgusting. Mm-hmm. I did have a choice. I did. Got you. And that's your right, Spirit Junkie. That is your right. And I'm not telling you, like I said, it all comes down to, again, it's your choice. It's your choice. We all have our sins in our life and we sin every day, but I do not judge, for I am not without sin. Right? Right? And as I said, I'm not judging anybody. Like I said, the Lord is the judge, and he will ask, what did you do with my son? What did you do with the truth that I imparted to you? That will be the question that he asks, not me. It's not me. But yeah. Truly, see, we are still for yes. Yeah, I would never, how would you say, cut somebody off because we disagree. Never. No one left. We all stayed here. I didn't get kicked out. Girl, I'm not going to kick you out. That's just, I hope y'all know that's not who I am. That is not who I am. Right? That's not, yes. We each have to stand alone in front of God one day and give it exactly. And that's what I'm standing for. That's my stand. That guides my vote. That determines what. No, you're good, girl. You're good. That's what determines my vote, and that was why I brought the information up. Was So this was what I wanted to say about the information. I got a list, and I was not thrilled about the list that I got, not because of who's on the list, but I thought it was going to be more details. I thought I could be lazy. Okay, so this was the whole point of coming on today. I got sidetracked. Whatever the Lord wanted me to share about stuff. Okay, and whoever needed to hear it, you got to hear it. Okay, I hate putting myself out there. You don't even want to know, but sometimes the Lord requires it of me, and so I already told him, whatever. You do what you want with me, whatever you want. So anyhow, hold on. I didn't make that comment for you, doll. I said it for, okay. Got you. Which one? Exactly. Yes, I know we all have our sin. Oh, I know, girl. I know. But I agree. I agree. I never thought you would, but there's always another side. Yes. Healthy debate, a freedom we must protect. Exactly. Exactly. That's just like us in the morning when we share devotions. There's going to be people that don't want anything to do with the Lord. That doesn't mean that their comments aren't able to be heard. We can hear them. Doesn't mean we agree with them. We may disagree with them, but it doesn't mean that we show unkindness. Okay, because to be kind is to be able to restrain yourself from being unkind, right? And we're called to be kind. We're not called to be hateful or bashing or anything like that. We can have a discussion and still be friends. We can still show up and talk to one another, right? Just saying, I don't agree with my own family at times. That doesn't mean I love them any less or I can't stand to be around them. No, other issues are usually the defining issues of, it's usually a behavioral thing, right? It's like when they do certain things in your presence, it's like, okay, that I can't do that. It's time for me to go. I'm still not unkind to them. I remove myself, and then maybe next time it won't be like that. But, it's not that you're unkind. No one should do that. The list, it makes it look kind of shady. So what it is as I was going through the list that I got, basically, as I'm going through it, they're all Republicans, which, okay, I get that. I get that. And basically they were condensing it down. You only have a couple choices. On ours, you only have a couple choices. And in the ones where there was like, say, 3 people to choose from, 2 of them were definitely Democratic candidates. And I will tell you, there's very few Democratic candidates that I have looked at that I would even consider, because of what they stand for. Okay. So if they stand for these certain things, there's no way they're getting my vote. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. If they stand for certain things, I'm not voting for them. I will omit a vote. There's just no vote. You're not getting it and you're not getting it. That's just how it's going to go. That's me voting my conscience. Okay. What they do with it when they get it in their machine, I can't control that, but I can control what I step forward and I do with my own intention. So the list on here, I will tell you, it is a Republican ticket for the most part. Down the line, I will tell you that there's at least 3 or 4 that I have already looked at, and they were already on my list, and they do line up with this. But I thought that the list was going to help me be lazy and not have to look up so much information, and it did not. So, Kathy, I'm sorry to disappoint. I thought the list was going to give us information about the candidate. So thankfully, I can Google it. The website is very detailed, has personal bios and political views. And so that was what I have to look at, because I thought I was going to be lazy and just go off the little list. I didn't know it was a list. I thought it was something else. And this is what I get in the mail, and there's no information in it. It gives you a sample ballot, but it doesn't give you information on the candidates. You have to go and search it out yourself. And again, it's so you just go into the box and do multiple choice. They're hoping that a bunch of people do multiple choice and vote from an ignorant standpoint. Not a, this is what I'm voting for standpoint, okay, based on what you want to vote for. But from an ignorant standpoint, it's kind of like you go in there and you do the multiple choice thing just so you could say you voted. You really didn't look at nothing. You don't know nothing. You didn't understand nothing. You really could care less. You just want to say you voted. Those are the dangerous voters, in my opinion, on the ballot. But money is the real ruler, and that is true. That is true. The society, our society, yes. Yes. Have I been unkind or just contrary? I voted early for your information last month. No, I don't think you've been unkind. I don't think you've been unkind. We got a really good booklet like yours when we had to vote on governor, etc. It contained a good amount. Yeah, ours doesn't. Ours does not. It tells you about your voter's registration, tells you how to mark the dot. It tells you the 3 categories of, Republican, Democrat, Independent, and who falls in each category. It gives you one small snippet for our candidate for the our state representative. It gives us a little tiny bit about our people for our Hellendale area and our Victorville school district. And that is it. That is it. It doesn't say anything else about any other candidate in here. And then it tells you some instructions. It has a poll worker application, and then it gives you the what the official ballot's going to look like. That's it. It doesn't have any, and then after it shows you the ballot, it goes to Spanish. It doesn't give you any information. You have to look it up yourself. And I'm telling you, this is done so that you go in there ignorantly, because a good majority of people will not spend the time and look. Yes. 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 And that's what they want. Exactly. Okay, Kathy. So I'm going to tell you, we are Americans and together we are strong. So I will read you the list off of here. Now, some of these are for, a good majority of these are state. I'll read you the state ones because your county is a different county than ours. And I'm not sure if you're voting on propositions the same as us, but I'll read those as well. Governor is Brian Dale. Lieutenant Governor is Angela Underwood Jacobs. Secretary of State is Rob Bernowski. Controller is Len-Hee J. Chen. Treasurer is Jack Guerrero. Attorney General is Nathan Hotchman. Insurance Commissioner Robert Howell. Member State Board of Equalization is Ted Gaines. U.S. Senator full term Mark P. M. Muser. And the same for short term, Mark Muser. U.S. Representative Jay Obernolte. And Member of State Assembly Paul Marsh. Those are the ones listed. And it is as far as I know, with the one, I don't know about the controller. Controller. Hold on a second. Controller. Where did it go? Except for the controller, I think. Where did that name go? Chen? Was it? No. Oh, yes, that one is too. So those were the names. Yeah. To maintain church tax code status, churches aren't allowed to be political outwardly. And this wasn't my church. I mean, it was at the church, but it wasn't the church. This was one of the people at church. They were doing voter education. Yeah. And in all honesty, this is my opinion. How would you say? Your beliefs and your church is probably going to influence your, should have some influence on what you believe and how you vote. The only reason they separated church and state was because they didn't want your moral views coming into their politics. That's why. When our new governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general were sworn in at the end, they and their spouses gathered around the state seal, joined hands, and prayed. Aw, see, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Yeah, and you know what? There was enough signatures to remove him. There was plenty, abundance to have him removed. They didn't endorse anybody. They did not endorse anybody. But it is recommended that you do look into your candidates and vote according to what you believe. That is not wrong for them to say. That is all truth. And that is, again, all the scriptures that we were given today was all in Proverbs, and there's some more if you want them. There's 4 more scriptures from today that were from Proverbs, that the ruler should judge righteously, that they have courage to do the hard work, to stand in the midst of wickedness and stand against it. Basically, call things what they are and stand for that truth. And the danger of a sex-driven lifestyle, enslavement, and disillusioned. That's the notes that I wrote down. This is Proverbs 31:1, and it talks about the actions of a king. So all of these should be weighed in your thought process according to what is their lifestyle. What does the candidate that you're voting for, what does their lifestyle represent? Because that's who you're putting in office, and that's the stuff they're going to vote for. So if you have somebody that is living a lifestyle that is contrary to what they say that they are running for, eventually that lifestyle will creep into what they do when they're in office. It will happen. Look at what got appointed with the one that's in office right now. Look what got appointed. We got some crazy stuff appointed with the person that's in office right now. Crazy stuff. Stuff that shouldn't be. Should not be. And it's there. So that's they should be able to tell you to be wise. Do your research. Does it line up with what the Bible says is a good ruler? A good ruler. Again, we read Proverbs. We've read these Proverbs multiple times, and it talks about the rulers. And it's there for us to then gauge our choices by. I'm probably going to be right down that road, girl. Probably going to be right down that road. And he's a pediatrician. That's pretty cool. Exactly. Yep, I agree. You are checking for lives? You're addicted. If you're up looking for random lives, you're addicted. And I only tell you that because I do that from time to time. I'm like, who's on? Like, I'll be like, someone's got to be on. Especially like if I'm in here working, I'll be like, who's on? Because I just want to hear a familiar voice, right? It's that, what did you call it? Audio, one of you guys called it something. It's kind of like when people leave the TV on for company, like kind of like that. So I do that. She says, yep, I'm addicted. Yep. They stole the election from, yes. And they proved that. Oh my gosh, did they prove that? People say, oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. They got the records. They got all of the hard drives. They got all of the, yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. But I look at it like this. None of these things caught the Lord off guard. He knew what was coming. He allowed them. He permitted them, and he permitted them for a reason and for a season. And what was that? It woke a lot of people up. A lot of people are paying attention right now. A lot of people have come to understanding that they need to pay attention and they need to look for themselves. So it has served a purpose. And as we're reading through Genesis, the Lord showed Abraham that these people were going to be taken into captivity. Why? Because they were going to forget about God, and they were going to go and do as the heathens did, and they were going to do all these things. This is our society. Our society is saying anything goes, whatever you want to do, you can do it, and you need to vote for people that say you could do whatever you want. And in that, The Lord will judge. He will judge. He will let those rulers come that take us away by our noses, the hooks in our noses. And so you see it. You see the stuff going on. Just the example that I said, when you call out something that's wrong and people tell you you're the bad one, shut your mouth. You're the bad one. That's opposite. That's the stuff that the Lord tells us. The society is going to flip. And it's going to be a sign. And so it's something that you got to pay attention to, be wise, but at the same time, walk uprightly. Do not be afraid. Stand courageously. Vote according to what you believe. If you don't believe in the Bible and you believe in something else, okay, vote according to that. Okay? I'm saying this is what I'm going to do. I hope that each person at least researches the people that they vote for and don't just walk into the box and do multiple choice. Just saying. I always check my subscriptions to see who is live. You're addicted too, girl. She says, "Hey, B lady, we get to take the Senate and the House back." Right. You know what's crazy on this list? I forgot to tell you, Kathy. Do you have Proposition 1 is no. And propositions are hard because of the way that they're written. So you kind of want to, after you write down what it is on here, you might want to read what the proposition is on the yes and no. I will tell you, when I go through propositions, I also look at who wrote them, who's endorsing them on the yes and the no. So always look at your propositions, who's writing them, and who's endorsing the yes and who's endorsing the no, because that shows agenda. You can usually tell by agenda. So basically what I would do is I would go with this list and I would sit down and I would read the different things and see if I agree with these yeses and nos. Does that make sense? So Proposition 1, no. Proposition 26, no. Proposition 27, no. Proposition 28, no. Proposition 29, no. Proposition 30, no. Proposition 31, no. Measure D, yes. And Measure double E, yes. So a bunch of no's. But again, I did not get to read through them yet because this just barely showed up at my house the other day. And I was hoping that there was another booklet. And there wasn't. So I have to do extra research and see if what is here is what I agree with at the same time. So do your research. No matter what I say, do your research. Yep. Yes, B lady, he's for sale. And my dog freaked out when she saw it, and my grandbaby is completely weirded out by it. He's freaked out when he sees that doll. So I need to get rid of him. So let's see. You see him? Yes. Cheat again during these elections, right? Right? So the thing that we really need to pray for is we really need to pray that the person that gets in the office is going to honor the Lord. That's what we should pray for, because in doing so, he will rule justly. He will rule rightly. He will be the wise king. He will be the king that don't make the people groan. That first proverb, we read it all the time. It was funny when he says, "I'm going to give you some proverbs today." And I was like, ooh. We've been in the Proverbs. I was like, ooh. And so the first one, 29, 2 and 4. I'm going to read you that one. Proverbs 29, 2 and 4. It says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when a wicked man rules, the people groan." So are we groaning right now? Or do we have a lot of groaning going on? And think about it. Why? Because a wicked man rules. And if you know anything about the person in charge right now, right? The president right now, if you know anything about him, he is wicked. He is wicked. And the people that he's appointed is an outward display of that wickedness at the same time. Just saying. Verse 4 says, the king establishes the land by justice, but he who receives bribes overthrows it. Again, if you know anything about the president in there you go. There you go. Let's see. Look at poor Trump, raided his house on the vineyard. Ridiculous, and now they are trying to blame Trump for the illegal alien who broke into Nancy Pelosi's house and beat her husband. She is for the illegal alien. She doesn't want the wall. You reap what you sow. Hey, maybe that one, I'm not going to say nothing because I agree. Just like the same ones that said, oh, we need to have all these sanctuary cities and we're a sanctuary city. And then when they sent some illegals up their way, they sure didn't like it. You guys said it's sanctuary. You guys wanted these open borders. So here, we brought them to you. It's your responsibility. You get to help shoulder some of the responsibility. Yeah. You're on YouTube all day? Yes, and not all Republicans are good. I will agree with that. Mama Ames, you have a good night, girl. Out of town and are hitting home tomorrow evening. Haven't forgotten about call. There's no rush, girl. There's no rush. Please know that. Yes, formulate your own opinion. Look at backstabbing. Yep, I agree. Yes. Yep. To view your video about town, out of town, or something like that. Hope you are enjoying yourself. Take care. Should be a law that says propositions could be understood by a fifth grader, because I have proof I'm not smarter than a fifth grader, right? Yeah, a good, yes, he's for sale. A good, yes, it works. Yes. Yes, have a good night and safe travels, girl. Safe travels. And thank you, girl. I hope you have good sleep. And yes, have a good night, everyone. Biden is still denied communion in the Catholic Church. You don't want me to talk about the Catholic Church. Let's see. Just saying. Now's not the time. We're going to try to get off here so everybody can go to bed. On election night, we're up until they are over, right? Yep. I did the last election. It was probably the first election I've ever done that with, but yes. He would have to appoint them. Who else would work for this administration? Right? Shh. Some of the people you look, you're like, what? What is going on? Like, and that's the whole truth of it. Who in their right mind? Just saying. I agree. Worry about the ones that say they are for one thing and vote opposite or not at all. Yes. Check them carefully. Yes. For the most part, they'll kind of let the truth out of the bag. Okay. I will tell you, a good majority of them, they'll say, oh, well, I'm taking a hard stand on this. And then they'll say, but this over here, this, I think this is okay. Okay. If they say this is okay, more than likely they're lying about the other thing. Just saying. You got to really, just read it. What does it really say? What are they really trying to communicate? Because they'll say one thing over here, and then they'll kind of say something over here, and they're contrary to one another. Okay, depending on what they're standing for. They'll say, "Oh, we're trying to do this, that, and the other, but yet we want to allow this. We think this is a good thing." It's like, no, no, yeah. You could pretty much know they're going to bend on the other thing by what they said over here that they really wanted to communicate. I pray that the House and Senate switch so all of this money will stop leaving the country. Yes, have a beautiful night and see you for devotions. Oh, the other thing, if you guys know anything about the justices, okay, no information is generally available for the justices. If you don't know them or know of them, it might be best to vote no. Or don't vote, whatever. Justices, I believe their stuff is kept confidential unless you've done some research, like when they were first up, I believe, appointed. I know that they do a thorough questioning, and you can usually watch those live. They usually put those live. But if you haven't caught those, you probably wouldn't know much about the justices. So, just saying, I don't have any information on that to tell anybody. Yeah, who's backing who? The money backing determines the vote. Don't forget, every candidate has an email address if we pay attention and hold them accountable, right? Send them a message. I'm just kidding. Oh, don't hate us. We are Roman Catholics. I think a lot of folks don't understand us. I'm not hating nobody, girl. I'm not hating nobody. I'm not hating nobody. I know the Lord can save people wherever they're at, even out in the woods. So I'm not saying nothing about that. I have my own views, and like I said, today's not the day for that. But I don't hate. I know some beautiful people that, how would you say? I wish they didn't follow that, but I know that the Lord can do his work where people are. And so I do know that there's some people that it's not my place to judge. How's that? She says, I live out in the wood. Praise the Lord, right? Woo, praise Jesus. Yes, disagree. Yeah, I don't hate nobody, guys. I don't. I've probably only hated one person in my life, literally hated one person in my life, and I did not like what hate felt like. So I will tell you, I don't practice hate. I don't. Yeah, I don't practice hate. I don't think anybody should practice hate. You got to be in a very dark place for hate. And if you live a life of hate, you are in a very dark place. Are you paralegal if you are willing to tell? No, girl. Not no paralegal. I wanted to be an attorney when I was young. I wanted to put people away. I wanted to be a prosecuting attorney. I did not want to be a defense attorney. There's enough quacks. I wanted to be someone who was legit. Yeah. But I started having children early. I didn't finish school. I didn't have the drive to do that. It was just the thought. When they ask you in school what you want to do, that was the thing that I wanted to do. I've probably wanted to do a great many things. I've wanted to go searching for missing children and do that kind of detective type work. But no, none of the above. None of the above. Yeah. Yep. I do the same thing. Yep. It's the same thing. Okay, my mouse is sticking again. Darn it. Stop it. I think I really need to change batteries. Do I have a battery? Nope, just the little guys. I have to go look for batteries. Well, anyways, I'm going to let you guys off of here. Please make sure, just like in the morning, do your own research. Okay? Again, pray before you go vote. When you sit down and you do your research, ask the Lord to give you clarity. He's not going to leave you hanging. Okay? He does give answers. He will give you understanding. If you're asking him with a sincerity, he'll give it to you. So that when you go, you can have peace about the choices that you've made. And just like he tells us to give an answer for the hope that lies within us, you're able to say, this is why I voted this way. I voted my conscience. I voted what I believe. I voted what I stand for. And it is what it is. That's what I voted for. But just, do your own research. Just like everything else. Do your own research. Right. And that's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. Doesn't matter what you say you are. Doesn't matter what you say you are. What are you living like? What are you living like? That's the whole thing. What are you living like? Does your life match up? Does your life match up? And there's only one way. There is only one way. There's not multiple ways. You can believe what you want, but there's only one way. Aw, I appreciate you, girl. I appreciate you. I haven't seen you in a bit. How have you been, by the way? The Nativity Angel? Yay! The Jim Shore? Yeah. Very detailed, right? Like real crisp details. Yes. Yes. If you're just claiming a religion, it's like having a title. It's like saying I'm a manager. Well, okay, you're a manager. What does it look like that you manage? Does it look well managed or does it look like a mess? Same thing. Long day Tuesday. Ooh, long day. What's up with Tuesday? Hoping Lindsay gets her box tomorrow. Yes, girl. It told me Tuesday. And that's why I was like, how come it's taking so long? Yeah. Aw. Well, I know that the Lord gave me courage to talk. That's all. That's all I know. Yes, keep me updated. Hello, James. James, I sent you an email about your package. Did you get that email? I just need to know what you want me to do so I can get it done tomorrow. Let's see. Okay. You have a good night, Spirit. Oh, come on. My mouse is not letting me. There we go. I'm all shaking my hand like my hand's the problem. It's not my hand. They will know you are Christians by your deeds. Right? Walk the talk. Right? Walk the talk. Yep. Oh, okay. Because of being election day. I gotcha. Okay. And it is a privilege. And I will tell you, I never took it as a privilege until I was much older in life. For reals. I've probably only been voting the last 10 years of my life. Mm-hmm. You did answer? Okay, I will check it. That way I know what to do. Okay, guys. So I'm going to let you go. I hope you got a little food for thought. Like I said, the biggest thing is do your own research. Do your own research for your candidates. Just do it because it's very important. It's very important to use your voice. Your vote is your voice. It's your voice. Whether you think it counts or not, it does. It does. So, anyways, you guys have a wonderful, where's my candy? Rev, you have to pick candy. You can't just say, where's my candy? I don't know what you want. You have to tell me what you want. You began voting as soon as you could. Yeah, some people, it was very important to start voting. Yes, girl, you have 3 on the way. Hopefully they'll all show up on the same day. Yes, time change. Your Crispy should have already showed up. Your Crispy should have already gotten there, like a few days after I sent it. He says, kidding. Oh my goodness. Okay. Spirit Junkie says she ate your candy, Rev. I'm like, you told me not to put candy in your box, sir. So I have not been putting candy in your box, only the one that you ordered the sweet stuff. So if you want me to go back to putting candy in your box, you have to give me the okay. If not, your box will be candyless. Anyhow, you guys have a good night. I will see you in the morning. And thanks for being here for discussion. I do plan on popping up from time to time doing certain discussions. The next one I do is going to be on question and answer, things that I've been asked and I've not answered them. And so I plan on answering them. So anyhow, I do plan on doing this again. It'll be random. I'll do it whenever and we'll see what happens. So thanks, guys. Have a good night. Get some sleep and I'll see you in the morning if you're able. Bye, everyone. I gotta find an outro. Here we go. Bye, y'all.